Tabres, a character that I find a lot more fun compared to her banner partner, who is supposed to be a lot more stronger and just way better in general. And I find that pretty ironic. But what is it that makes Tabres an interesting character that I keep on talking about? Well, if you want to know what I mean, let's go ahead and check out what she can do, and most importantly, how to build her. So with her talent, her attack and defense are increased. After actively dealing damage, applies 1 stack of Shadow Feather to the enemy that lasts for 3 turns, which can be stacked up to 3 times and refreshes every time that it is applied, like the turn duration. If the enemy has 1 stack of Shadow Feather, when fighting against Tabres, they take 20% more damage. 2 stacks, they can be selected as target by Tabres anywhere on the battlefield to use their skills. After selecting, Tabres will teleport to an empty block near them and then use the skill on them. At 3 stacks, they are not able to counterattack against Tabres. So yeah, get her to 5 stars. She's gonna function a lot more efficiently, which is really good combined out with the Thxs, which is her only AoE skill to easily apply those Shadow Feather stacks. Oh yeah, and by the way, just watch out for healers, cause they can dispel it and block it out. Her Flyer class is gonna be her best choice, cause you know, better movement and more damage. Meanwhile, her Infantry class just makes her a bit more tankier, so take your pick. With the class Master Stones for the armor and headwear, you're gonna want HP, defense, and attack. Then the last two, HP, attack, and skill. With the Arena Stones, you want an offensive set. Star Prisma is gonna be her best attacker soldier with good survivability. Steel Winged Warrior are also pretty good, quite balanced in both ways, but their survivability only comes from taking range attacks. Angels are pretty decent, they can take magic attacks really well, but offensive wise, they're okay at it. Unicorns are not bad to deal with infantry enemies, but the bonus effects only really come from being on certain terrains. Now if you have her in her infantry class, then the Gallant Duelist is also another choice for more damage, while having pretty good physical survivability. With the best weapon, her best 2 wounds are either Ragnarok or Scarlet Reaper to do fixed damage. You can also use Sigil, they're still going to be doing the same thing, but that weapon is more based on defense. Other options include Throne Guardian for bulk, Routing Light for damage ramping, then Last Justice to lower attack and int. In the infantry class, you have Crystal Stinger for the defense ignore and more crit, Bone Crusher to lower defense or disable armor in PvP, Mimir for sustain. Bloodsword can be really fun with the AoEs for fixed damage. You also have Balance Blade for more AoE range, then you got Mjolnir to dispel buffs. The armor is obviously going to be Last Rites, then it goes down to Azure Legend, Alliance Robe, then Lizard Skin. In infantry class, you want either Battle Armor or Time Mat, and then Aeolus or Bloodline. The helmet that you want is going to be the recently new Owl helmet, which was a thing during the 4.5 anniversary. Everyone should have gotten this for free by maxing out their Eternal Forge. This helmet gives you more skill and AoE damage if there's no enemy within 2 blocks. Otherwise, it'll be King's Crown, Flower, Doomsday if you like being aggressive. Not a thing that you would use in regular content, to be honest. Last resort options are Snow Beanie for more defense, or Feather Crown, which is only usable if you have tons of HP on her for more survivability. In the infantry class, you want Tyr for more damage, then Aeneas for survivability. With their accessory, if you want to kill stuff a lot better, it'll be Judge, Slayers, or Prisoners. The bulk and situational ones are Overlords and the Butterfly one. This one most likely that you have to buy during the Eternal Forge. It blocks out 1 debuff every turn that heals if it triggers. Other situational ones that helps maintain more attack are Bloodthirsty Nail for the silence immunity, Backtrack Edge for the skill cooldown, and Wing of Shinguard for the defense. In the infantry class, you can also use the Winged Accessory or Apex Boots for the mobility. As for enchants, you got Breeze, Full Moon, or Clock for a 3C. Now the best enchant stat that you want on her are HP, attack, and defense. Of course, for the accessory, it'll be skill instead of defense, but you always want to mainly focus on tons of HP and attack. Alright, so hopefully you guys have an idea on how to build your Tabres. So let's go ahead and check out the first awakening stage. Alright, so for this stage, you're going to be up against Hoffman, Patricia, and then Ashian. Alright, so these are the skills that I'm going to be running with. Her unique 1C to mainly help her stay invisible. You know, you can also use Reinforcement for the healing or Sunshade for even more healing if you're lucky with it. Of course, you want Air Slash to attack from 2 blocks. Then the last one can just really depend on Raging Thunder or maybe her unique 2C, or you can maybe do another passive. You know, if you want to do Reinforcement and Sunshade to be really safe with the healing, then by all means go for it. Air Slash has a really short cooldown, so it's not a bad thing to do. And then for the soldiers, the Star Prison of Pegasus, you can also do Holy Pegasus, but just be warned that you're not going to be doing as much damage. And if it makes you comfortable, use Gallant Duelist. You know, you're going to be dealing with Hawkman a lot more easier. You know, if Hawkman is really giving you a hard time, using Gallant Duelist will definitely help you clear the stage. Now with Tabres easily moving around, I'm actually going to move Tabres all the way back here because I kind of want to position where I can get Hawkman around the defensive terrain on the left and right side. And you really do want to watch out for the AoE too. And Hawkman is really tanky, so for some of you guys might not be able to one-shot him. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to go move all the way to like, hopefully like right here. Yeah, I'm just trying to stay right here, and hopefully Hawkman goes like down left so that we can stay in the defensive terrain. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're in a really good position to attack Hawkman from the defensive terrain. So yeah, I'm gonna attack Hawkman. You know, Hawkman is really tanky, so completely understandable if some of you guys can't one-shot him. So hopefully you can attack him, do some damage, and hopefully survive on the next turn. You can always wait until you get Air Slash again and then finish him off. If you are able to get around Hawkman, you can actually kill the shield, and then it will give you the stat increase, but it's not gonna heal you. So yeah, just to show you guys, this was her stat beforehand, and then after killing the shield, her stat got increased, but no healing. If you're one of those people that are struggling trying to kill Hawkman, just try to get Hawkman away from the shield in order to kill it, get those stats up, and hopefully those stat increase will help you better deal with Hawkman. And to deal with Patricia, pretty simple, just stay an extra block away from her because of her AoE, and killing her should be no big deal. Her defense is incredibly low, so one-shotting her should be no issue. To deal with Ashen, she does not have her revive like you would see normally because she does not have her 3C, which does give her it. If you are not able to kill Ashen at this point, then honestly just wait until she loses her stack, because the more time that she gets these, the more damage that she can do. So just wait it out because you're going to be minimizing the damage that she's going to be doing to you. So next turn, she's going to lose them, and then just simple as Air Slash to stay away from her, and hopefully you do enough to really injure her or most definitely one-shot her. Hawkman is definitely going to be the one to give you a lot more trouble because of how tanky he is, and he can do some good damage too. His talent gives him more attack and defense, which explains why he's the way he is. As long as you deal with him, the last two characters are pretty easy to handle. Using the Gallant Duelist will definitely help out a ton. And last two don't really do anything special, they're just gonna come up to you blindly, and you can easily take advantage of that. Alright, on to her. What the heck? Why is it so small like that? Okay, so yeah, her 3C. 5 turn cooldown, reaches 2 blocks that has a span of 3. The passive on it, when an ally dies, the damage dealer gets afflicted with 2 stacks of Shadow Feather. This is an AoE that attacks within 3 blocks and restores 30% of HP to all allies in the area, then gains Dawnlight Rebirth, where she does AoE damage in 1 ring before battle. That AoE multiplier is really low, but Tabres does get a lot of attack to make up for it. The passive is going to be so nice because it allows her to play very similar to Z2, just like in the opposite way. Healing is really nice. Just this skill in general is going to be Tabres' main tool because it's her only AoE skill. So that means she can apply multiple stacks of those Shadow Feather. So if you have her at 5 stars, use this, apply 2 stacks of Dark Feather, get the buff to do AoE damage before battle, so that's another stack, get her to 3 stacks at max, which makes the enemy unable to counterattack her. So she can attack safely, all the meanwhile doing a ton of damage. Oh yeah, I got too excited right there, but I did forget that she can actually act again with this, and that AoE buff cannot be dispelled and lasts for 2 turns. Got too excited for a second, I almost forgot about that. But yeah, what I was gonna add is her 1C. It makes her invisible, so she can use that where she cannot be targeted, and then she can pop in, use the skill, and then hopefully eliminate someone. All that I said right there is pretty much how Tabres is gonna be playing. Alright, so if you guys are interested, this is what her 3C animation looks like. Alright, so for the second awakening stages, if you guys are new around here, I typically don't do them unless they are extremely difficult to do, which most of the time, they really aren't. You know, you got 3 other characters to use and they're really dependable. You know, just play really smart and you got this. Not really dependent on your own character. That's what makes this doable for every character. Alright, so with that being said, let's go right on into her showcase. Alright, so here we are. Let's have a rundown on the talent. Attack and defense are increased, After actively dealing damage, applies 1 stack of Shadow Feather to the enemy that lasts for 3 turns, that stacks 3 times and refreshes every time it gets applied. 1 stack of Shadow Feather, when fighting against Tabres, they take 20% more damage. At 2 stacks, they can be selected as target by Tabres anywhere on the battlefield to use the skills. After selecting, Tabres teleports to an empty block near the target and uses the skill on them. 3 stacks, they cannot counterattack against Tabres. So any form of attack that Tabres does, she applies Shadow Feather onto the enemy. And if you check the debuff, it goes ahead and tells us what it has on them. So we can see at 1 stack, they take 20% more damage against Tabres. At 2 stacks, more description is shown so Tabres can teleport onto an empty square near the target to cast a skill on them. So yeah, I'm gonna select a unique 2C, and we can see that regardless of where Tabres is at, Elwyn and Leanna, who has 2 stacks of Shadow Feather, are the only ones who can be targeted. But if I were to pick an AoE skill, can't really do that. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. I did use a 3C beforehand, which gives her a buff to let her attack before entering battle, so that I applied the Shadow Feather before battle, and so Leanna couldn't counterattack. I think the best way for me to show it to you guys is if I were to attack Elwyn, so we should be able to see more clearly with this one. Say we enter battle, and Elwyn couldn't really do anything right there. As long as you're able to get that high, which should be really easy if you get her to 5 stars, because no matter what, Tabres will always be applying 2 stacks of it whenever she is the one attacking. So you get her to 5 stars, and she'll be able to apply those stacks much more faster, especially when you think about her 3C. So now that you guys hopefully have a good idea on how her talent is like, let's go check out one of her best tools, which is going to be her 1C. It's an active skill that gives an ally, after actively dealing damage, applies 1 stack of Shadow Feather to an enemy for 2 turns. Then she gains Eclipsing Shadow. When her HP is above 80%, she cannot be targeted by enemies' normal attack or skills for 2 turns. Now this is going to be Tabres' best tool because of that invisibility, which allows her to move in really easily without worrying of being killed. You know, the only way for her to actually lose it, if there's a character with an AoE skill, that depends on their own range where they're at, instead of actually selecting an enemy to use it. As you guys saw, Sherry went up to Tabres and didn't do anything. Couldn't really attack her because she's invisible. And another thing that I really like about this is that no matter what kind of attack that you do, it will always apply it. I'm gonna go ahead and use her AoE, which should have been 1 stack because I have her at 4 stars, but then thanks to the 1C skill, it applied another stack. And of course, if you have her at 5 stars, they would immediately get 3 stacks. One huge thing that really made me so happy, I remember looking at stuff about this character, reading that her 1C was only able to apply those Shadow Feather stacks if you are actively attacking in battle. I remember looking into stuff about Tabres before she came into Global, but seeing as how it's just actively doing damage in general, so she can give this to any character, and then those characters will help her apply those stacks for her. Granted, it is only 1 stack though, so may not be the best thing because it's not going to give you the more useful one where she can teleport next to the enemy. So if there's characters who can double AoE, maybe they're able to do it if they have it like in their kit or if they survive that long, then yeah, Tabres is able to approach very safely. Otherwise, Tabres can do that herself. And now with the unique 2C, it's a single target where if the number of allies on the battlefield, excluding summons and non-player units, is less than the number of enemies, this attack ignores guard. If the target has at least 2 stacks of Shadow Feather, damage is dealt directly to the enemy hero. When eliminating an enemy, any buffs on her do not lose their turn duration, which is only in PvP, which is very dumb. It's not like that she has anything that crazy. You know, her 1C buff doesn't really last that long, and I really feel like that her 3C buff actually really helps her out a ton. You know, I don't see why like they're that strict on it. But yeah, attacking directly to the enemy hero means that you're gonna be having an easier time killing that enemy. Very few characters can do this, and considering how easy it is for her to stack them, it shouldn't be all that troubling. You know, if you want to actually like try to assassinate someone, like let's say in PvP, then you really have to try to get your character, at least one character, to die. Rushing is probably the best way to do it since you're kind of expecting it. And now finally onto 3C. It's a 5-turn cooldown that reaches 2 blocks long that has a 3-block span. The passive on it, when any allied unit dies, damage dealer is afflicted with 2 stacks of Shadow Feather. This is an AoE that attacks enemies within 3 blocks, restores 30% HP to all allies in the area, then gains Dawnlight Rebirth. It gives you a buff where before battle, deals AoE damage to enemies within a ring span. That cannot be dispelled, lasts for 2 turns. And you can act again moving 3 blocks, that can only trigger once per turn. This is a skill that Tabres really wants, and let me show you. It's her only AoE skill, which means that she has an easier time to apply those Shadow Feather stacks. And considering Electro at the Gen 2 is a huge thing. And so now we check the buff on her, we can see that the AoE buff that she gets, and we do see the passive on it. Definitely getting her to 5 stars, like I always keep on saying, is something that you really want, especially with PvP, because you want that second stack in order for the teleportation. You know, if Tabres can't reach a certain enemy, then she can instead just teleport near them and then go for the assassination. Or you can use another method where, thanks to that passive, applying 2 stacks of Shadow Feather, you can play it the opposite way of Z2. Instead of killing someone, when you have one of your team member get killed. And so that way Tabres can go in and assassinate someone with their 2C. Which is one method that is more worrying than anything else, because there are some characters who have immunity to all debuffs. You know, there's characters like Angel and Ahsoka who can do that. So yeah, just be really careful with stuff like that. I say one of her best method is just going with her 1C and then start going all in with her 3C. So yeah, her 3C is so vital in her gameplay. Her only 3C skill, that's an at again, which can also heal her, which is very convenient, but mainly a tool that lets her approach and apply those Shadow Feather stacks very safely. So if you have Clock, you can spam this on every turn. If she survives the next turn, apply more stacks of Shadow Feather, get the extra healing, and then she can attack safely, because by then the enemies will have 3 stacks. So Tabres attacking them, she shouldn't be worrying about dying, at least by getting counterattacked. The cooldown on it is very long, so I'd say it's really worth it if you really care about that. So overall, Tabres is plenty of fun to use. You have 2 ways of playing her. Use your 1C to be invisible, then go right on in with her 3C to apply those Shadow Feather stacks, then finish someone off using her unique 2C. It has ignored guard just in case there's a tank, that's only if you are at a number disadvantage. And you can attack directly to the enemy hero if they have 2 stacks of Shadow Feather, which is really easily obtainable if you are able to hit the enemy twice with the beginning of the 3C and then with the 3C buff, or if you just simply have her at 5 stars. Getting 5 stars is really worth it because not only are you able to kill them pretty easily, but you can also attack safe at the same time. So banning tanks, and especially 100% ban healers, will allow Tabres to shine even more. So if you want to play it the other way around, where she wants to rely on her allies to help her apply those stacks, with this method, you're kind of playing her the same way as Z2. Those stacks can easily get removed by healers. They can also easily get blocked out too by characters who have immunity buffs, which is why you don't really see Tabres get played a lot because of those things. In regular content, you won't truly be able to see what Tabres can really do unless the enemy has like tons of HP, somewhere like an Ancient Beckoning. So with that being said, she's a basic damage dealer who isn't able to go all out unless in specific areas. She's another of those type of characters who you aren't able to really see what she's really made of unless you take them in PvP. A sad thing, yeah, so some of you guys, you won't be able to experience how fun she actually is. Alright, so that was Tabres Showcase. If it wasn't obvious enough, I honestly can't wait for the new season to try her out and get some content for you guys. Tabres is really only worth it if you enjoy PvP and just want to have a great time. In that area, you're able to see what she can actually do, you know, using her at her very best. If you really need a damage dealer, then she can be okay at it, but there's definitely way better option out there for you guys. And of course, if you just like the character, then by all means go for it. Because I know my reasoning for Tabres is that I know for sure that she's going to be extremely fun to use. But that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about Tabres or if there was anything that I may have missed. So yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.